As we approach that key date of December the 15th, that is when 82 players become eligible to be traded. So let's welcome in our senior insider, Shams Charania now. Shams, you reported that several Eastern Conference contenders, they are preparing to pursue Anthony Davis here. What is Dallas truly weighing, and what could the trade market here look like?
Look, they're weighing whether to trade Anthony Davis or reach an extension and a commitment on an extension in the offseason, depending on whether Anthony Davis is able to gel with this group, how this team looks over the next few weeks with Cooper Flagg and a more healthy team. And that's exactly what Mavs interim co-general managers Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi discussed when they met recently with AD's agent Rich Paul at Clutch Sports. My understanding is Paul told him that he wants the Mavs to either commit on an extension in the offseason or trade AD. And so the Mavs will evaluate the next several weeks. There is no question around the league that trade talks to some extent will occur, and three Eastern Conference teams that I'm told will emerge as suitors for Anthony Davis are the Pistons, Raptors, and the Atlanta Hawks. You're looking at packages around role players, picks, potentially expiring contracts, and picks. This is someone that spent his entire NBA career in the Western Conference. He's a 10-time All-Star. So clearly there's a group of Eastern Conference contenders viewing him as a game changer to reshape the East.
Interesting. All right, so let's get our front office insider Bobby Marks in here, because we're hearing the Pistons, the Hawks, and the Raptors. So draw it up here, Bobby. What could a trade look like?
Well, I think Detroit is certainly the most interesting team, the best team in the Eastern Conference right now, and they do have all of the assets to go out and make an Anthony Davis trade. Remember, Anthony Davis is making $54 million. We've got to include a big expiring contract, and that certainly starts with Tobias Harris here. And then they've got some of these young players. Jaden Ivey's on an expiring contract. Ron Holland also here. Remember, they all have all their first-round picks to put in a trade. We're not going to do that right now. And when you look at that deal, that works. That's kind of looking like the framework if Detroit wanted to go out and do an Anthony Davis-type trade. But remember, this is, as I said, this is the best team in the Eastern Conference. Do you want to disrupt what you have right now?
Bobby, I want to go into your brain really quick, because you said something that is blowing my mind. This is the best team in the East. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it, right? So if you're thinking about AD adding, Jalen Duren's having an amazing year, 19-5. They're already fourth in rebounding percentage, fourth in defense. If you're a GM, why would you make this move?
Well, Anthony Davis is a top 20 player when he's on the court. I think that's the biggest thing. Now, the concern, Chene, is pairing Davis with Duren, who's a free agent this summer. Then you've got to extend Anthony Davis. Do you want to commit $90 million to those two players in the near future here? That's a big dilemma that you've got to go back. And remember, the trade deadline is not the quarter mark. It's basically you've got 20 games left in the season. It's a big question. Big gamble you've got to ask.
For the benefit of the viewer here, Monica, when Sinead proposed that and saying pairing Duren alongside Anthony Davis, your reaction to that was, yeah, there was a little bit of this going on. Sounded like Atlanta a little bit more.
I don't want that. Yeah, to me, I think chemistry is so fragile, and unfortunately, Anthony Davis has had an injury history. The Pistons largely have been durable in terms of their core guys, so I don't necessarily love that. If we were going to do this, Atlanta is the team that I've been curious about. They've been hanging out in purgatory, if you will, not terrible, but also not necessarily competing, but they've got athletes, and Anthony Davis, I think, is a better fit there, potentially.
Okay, well, go ahead, Bobby.
I'm sorry. Well, here's Atlanta for you, right here.
Right, let's see.
When you're looking at it, certainly with Anthony Davis, it has to start with the contract of Kristaps Porzingis, who's on an expiring contract. Now, how do you get the money to work, getting up to $44, $45 million? Now you're talking about touching some of your, whether it be a Luke Kennard, some of your minimum players. Now, here's the question. That Pelican pick that they have, that's basically you put it in a vault and you lock it up, and we'll see you in June here. They do have some other draft assets here when you're looking at. They also have a first-round pick from New Orleans or Milwaukee next year, some of their own first. So you could get to a Davis-type deal, but you still have Trae Young under contract here, who is going to have a player option here. And then it gets back to, do you want to extend Anthony Davis with this group moving forward?
Four-time champion Klay Thompson. So, Shams, how are the Mavs approaching his situation here?
Look, I'm told the Mavericks will be open to exploring the Klay Thompson market. And Klay Thompson himself, my understanding is, wants to be in a contending situation. He's someone that committed to this Mavericks team in 2024 free agency to join Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving off a team that made it to the NBA Finals. And now Luka Doncic is gone. This is a below 500 team. He himself got off to a slow start, but he has picked it up, 40% shooting in the last 10 games, both ends of the floor. The Mavericks will be entertaining talks between now and the trade deadline.
Okay, so these are questions that they're going to be looking at even before the trade deadline, December 15th, when more players are eligible to be traded. And then, of course, there is the big one, the huge question, and that lies in Milwaukee, where questions, they continue to come up because the Bucks, they have dropped 10 of their last 12 games. Of course, Giannis is sidelined with that calf strain, but the Bucks, they are sliding. And based on your reporting, Shams, there seems like there's a real sense around the league that this next month, it could determine the direction of the entire franchise, right? Centering around Giannis's future. So what are the real pressure points, Shams, inside the organization right now? And how quickly could these conversations escalate if the losses keep piling up?
Wins and losses. That's the nature of the business right now in Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to play and compete for a second NBA championship. This is a Bucks team right now that's playing and competing for a back-end play-in tournament slot. And so they're 10-15 right now. Conversations are active and open as of last week between Giannis' side, his agent Alex Saratz's, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And my understanding is the locker room can also feel the tension at play here and the harder dialogue that could occur, how this team shapes up. The rest of this month, they have 6 of their next 9 games on the road. So this is a tough schedule coming up that the Bucks have. So it'll come down to wins and losses, how this team looks before the February 5th NBA trade deadline.
Okay, and right now there are more losses for the Milwaukee Bucks that are piling up than wins, at least as it stands right now. So, Bobby, we know that Giannis has said in the past that it would make sense he wants to go to New York. So make that work for us.
Well, let's play the hypothetical game. I think it's important first to look at Milwaukee, what they don't have to offer here. Draft picks here. They only have a 2031 or 2032 pick to go out and actually upgrade this roster. They actually don't control their pick until 2031.
Wow.
So when you're looking at it, if we bring New York in, and this is not cut and dry because this is a Knicks team that has the second best record in the Eastern Conference here. When you're looking at it, Giannis, and we're putting Kyle Kuzma in the mix here just to get the numbers to work. It certainly has to start with Karl Anthony Towns. Him and Giannis' contract actually work identically.
Right.
Same amount here.
Okay.
We took the signing restriction off Mikal Bridges, who can be traded as of February 1st. And when you look at this deal, remember, New York has no tradable first. This deal works.
Right.
2 core pieces out of this Knicks team. That is a hard decision for that Knicks front office.
Monica McNutt, you cover the Knicks incredibly closely, and our show is on in various TVs around the various New York Knicks facilities here. When they see things like that, is this something that the players, are people talking about this, or is this sort of, okay, we're gonna just see what happens?
People are absolutely talking about
All
it.
right.
And just like Sham said, Milwaukee feels it. New York has felt it. Karl Anthony Towns has voiced how much he enjoys being in New York and has obviously understands the nature of the game. But I think what Bobby said is something that I think about as this could potentially unfold. 2 key pieces in a team that has been building over the last 4 years in terms of chemistry, and they're not bad. On paper, could we look at the various differences between Giannis Antetokounmpo and Karl Anthony Towns? For sure. And I take nothing away from that. But I do think it's not that this team is not performing well this year, and chemistry is very delicate.
Monty, now it's your turn. I want to pick your brain because I think a lot of people, maybe the average NBA fan, would be like, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy who averaged 30 points per game the last 3 years, 12 rebounds on 60% shooting. Of course, you take a top tier 1 NBA guy. Can you sort of make the case for why maybe you bet on this core for the Knicks?
Well, exactly that. I think anytime, let's go back into our last few champions, right? The only outlier in terms of add superstar and win a championship was the Toronto Raptors when Kawhi Leonard did.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen in 1 year. And so you're mentioning, just for the exercise, making the case not to do this. You want to make this move in February.
Yep.
You've got, 3 months to really acclimate, right? It's going to cost you not just one of your key pieces, but it's going to cost you another starter.
Right.
That starting unit has been working on this chemistry and the equity that they have for 2 seasons now.
And I will say the other case is maybe that you get Giannis so that you extend your championship window outside of just this year where you're narrow viewed.
Not to mention, what are you looking at? Oh, wait. Oh, that's me bumping my head on the ceiling that is the Oklahoma City for you right now, he is the #1 pick in this draft.
He is the #1 pick for me because of his ceiling and how high he can get to.
Yep.
His floor might be lower than some other players, but his ceiling is as elite as any player in this draft. And for me, that's why he's the #1 pick. And you'll see him on another NBA floor tonight in MSG.
And you have all of the real-time data here. You have been watching these guys play. But Bobby Marks, you actually have been drafting these guys in a previous life. So in your mind, do you agree with Sean? Is AJ the #1 pick here?
I will tend to disagree right now, and it's not just based off this one play we're going to show you. I think there's a 6'9" forward down at Duke who's been pretty good so far. This is the Florida game last week, 16 seconds left, Duke up 1. Watch Cameron Boozer up top, switch on Boogie Flan, who had just hit a 3, and then shift over and basically pick up Flan again. Turnover right here, end of game, ball game here. What NBA executives like, 7'1" wingspan, the ability to guard smaller defenders here right now. We still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
23-10 so far for an undefeated Duke team.
How's Cam being viewed here?
I think Cam is very much so in this mix, all right? We heard Darren say, hey, I've got a little Devin Booker in me. We got a little T-Mac here. If you want a comp for here, how about Kevin Love?
Sure.
The versatility, ability to shoot from the outside, an excellent passer. The concern I have for him, again, his floor, best floor in this entire draft. He's the most polished freshman in college basketball. His ceiling, though, is a little bit lower than those two guys over on that side because of the lack of athleticism that he has. He's not going to be able to overpower. He overpowers a lot of players in college. I wonder if that's going to translate and overpower at the same level that we're seeing in college at the NBA level.
It's the depth of this draft class. I'm really interested to see how
By
this
the way,
plays
saying
out.
he's Kevin Love is not a slight.
Right, as we march towards June here, but it is